Hey everybody, what's going on? Gordy here for a really special Bonkers Cards podcast interview. I got to sit down with the Tyler Tarver. Tyler has amassed a massive audience across a number of different social media platforms over the last few years. I'm sure if you're ever into hobby content, you've seen some of his videos. I've known Tyler for a little bit now, and I've been meaning to get a sit-down interview with him, and we sat down in front of the Culture Collision show for over a half hour, just talking everything from his hobby history to his journey as an entrepreneur, the cards we like to collect, observations that we've noticed in the hobby over the last few years. It's an incredible conversation. I'm so excited for you guys to get to listen to this, and thank you again so much to Tyler. Your kindness and what you do for the hobby is so appreciated. So thank you so much. Hope you guys enjoy this interview. And if you could, please like and subscribe and share it with a hobby friend. So without further ado, guys, Tyler from Tarver's Cards. All right, guys, what is going on? We are here with Tyler Tarver from Tarver's Cards outside of the Culture Collision show here in Atlanta, Georgia. Tyler, what's going on?
Hey, what up? How you living? You good?
I'm good, man. We're at a card show.
Good.
I can't complain.
We're hanging out. Second card show. We should make this a routine, bro.
Yeah, I know.
I love it.
We first met at the National last year.
The National.
Yeah, and that was a really cool experience for me as somebody who's been following hobby content for a while. You know, to see some of these characters come out in real life at shows. And for those of you that haven't gotten a chance to meet him yet, he is exactly what you would see when you come through on the camera.
Thanks, bro.
And one of the things that stood out to me was how genuinely kind you were. As somebody who is newer to the hobby, and I guess these personalities, if you will, that walk around, you wanted to share with me everything you could that could provide value.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that really, it stuck with me, man. So I wanted to say thank you for that.
That means a lot. Thank you for saying that to my face. I appreciate that.
So we met at the National. We're here now at the Culture Collision show in Atlanta. And I just got here a few hours ago. I did a quick scope of the floor. Yeah. There's deals to be had. It looks to me like it's not just sports cards. It's a little bit of a mix of collectibles and stuff like that. Is this your first Culture Collision? Or?
So no, I came last year. That was my first. I got to set up at it last year and it was great.
Yes. You had actually recommended me the show based on your experience.
Absolutely.
And you're a dealer here today, correct?
I am. Got a table.
Nice.
Come by it all.
I want to ask you about your experience as a dealer with a table, because that's something I haven't done a lot of. I've only set up as a table dealer once or twice. Okay. Do you enjoy doing it?
I do. You know, it has its own levels of stress. So like I've made my fair share of mistakes with regards to like pricing cards and doing it. And you got to keep in mind, not everybody that walks by the table is going to love your stuff. Okay. Whether it's who you grade with, the years of cards, and you got to keep in mind too, like how many tables do we walk past because we look at it and we're like, oh, I'm not into that. Nothing wrong with it. But it's like almost like as a dealer, you're just like, oh, it's like you're saying you don't like me. You know what I mean? Like, but it's not that. It's just like, they're not for you. And that's cool. And then you just wait for the people that are. And then you're willing to make deals. Like, this is the thing. Like, I try not to be what bothers me in other dealers. Like, dealers that won't come off of it. And I have like a sign that just says, yo, comps are crazy. Like, I'll make a deal. If I'm off on any comps, let me know. And I'll adjust unless I'm like emotionally attached to this card, which means it's like a Jordan Poole card. So, JP, if you're watching, what's up, my guy?
You said a lot there that I could go deeply into. The first being, don't take things personally. Yeah. I think to be really successful in this hobby as a business, you need to have thick skin. Yeah. As somebody who does a lot of buying at these shows, it's a good show if I hear the word no 100 times, 200 times, because you always want to get the best deal. Yeah. And I feel like as a dealer, it might get frustrating being on the other end of that, getting lowball offers or not getting the right interest in your cards. You just made me think about it. I just walked at half of the show floor, and anytime I see anything that sparkles or shines or is printed after the year 1980, I don't even look at it. Yeah. He might have, this person might have great prices, but it's not what I specialize in. So if you're out there and you set up at shows and you haven't had people look at your stuff, I think that's a great point. It might just not be your category. Yeah. But also to be emotionally stable enough to say, you know, this is kind of what I'm signing up for to some extent. People are going to be trying to get their best deals and stuff like that.
That's true. Yeah. You're not everybody's type, dating or sports cards.
Yeah. And the second piece you talk about that I needed to learn just
I don't know, through time is the comp piece. Like the people who make deals are the ones that are understanding of what a card is currently selling for, or a sold comp. That's what he's saying when he says comp. I mean, you just talked about a big collection you just recently priced. How long, what does your comping process look like, and how long?
So it's tough. So like, here's the thing, especially like I got a bunch of 90 stuff in a couple collections I bought. And in that were some pretty rare inserts. Granted, like some of those, those inserts that's like PMGs, the 90s PMG stuff, the red and the green, like a player you've never heard of is going to sell for thousands of dollars because it's a set people are trying to collect all of.
It's a popular
But
set.
then there's some that's like, you'll get these golds and they're like $1.50, and it's like a gold card, but it's just, people aren't demanding that set. And so like, well, first thing I look at is obviously player matters. Okay. So you got like tiers. I do a lot of basketball or even football. Basketball and football is what I price. And you look at tiers of players and their pricing. And then after that, you're looking at the set. Like, okay, what is that set comping for? Are people collecting that set? Is that a rare set? Stuff like that. So like, you're just always looking at those things.
So in the modern market, I think there's a lot more liquidity than the vintage market. But you're talking about tiers of players. Like, so you might comp a Joe Burrow card, for example, with a similar serial number to one that's sold of, say, Trevor Lawrence, because they're in a, somewhat of a category.
They're in a category. Now, what I've noticed, and I don't do a lot of football, but I end up with it at times when I buy stuff or trade. Like you talked about liquidity. There are players that are very liquid that are not like so Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow, you're right. They're in kind of the same price range, but your Burrows are going to sell so much faster.
Yeah.
People love Joe Burrow. And they will buy his card, like John Morant. John Morant's cards fly, and so do Joe Burrow's. Like, these people want them.
Yeah, and I guess that is something that takes being really integrated into the hobby for a longer period of time to notice what sells, what doesn't, what you get held on to. I noticed that with my vintage shows, like, there's I'm trying to think of a vintage player that's still a Hall of Famer, and I'm sure I'll upset somebody out there. Somebody like a Lou Brock or even a Johnny Bench. They don't move as fast as Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Sandy Koufax. Sure. So from a dealer perspective, trying to figure out how do I price this where it will actually move? Do I want to buy this card if I'm on the other end of the table knowing it won't move? There's a lot to consider when you're a dealer.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
But, so I wanted to ask you, I guess, also about how long you've been in the hobby.
Yeah.
Because if you guys aren't following him, Tyler has a massive following across a number of social media channels on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you are. He's there. If you are in hobby content, you've undoubtedly seen this face.
And you've been like, this dude needs to chill and do his videos better because he always runs out of time. Or you've been like, oh, it's okay. I vibe with that. Calls people chicken nuggets. It's fine.
Yes, chicken nuggets a big thing.
Say it way too much.
What's the origin of chicken nuggets?
I have no idea. It's just something I said. And then it's weird when you start creating videos online, because I do education content as well.
Yeah.
And I started saying it with that. I was like, oh, click on this little chicken nugget, like showing teachers what to do. And then I started collecting cards again a few years ago, and I started saying it. And it's like, you don't notice what you're saying. And then you start reading the comments, and then people do it. And honestly, last year at this show is when I noticed that I said chicken nugget way too much.
Yeah.
Cause people would see me and they go, yo, chicken nugget. And they would call me chicken nugget. And I'm like, okay, that's one of my phrases. So I got a mascot made of a chicken nugget. So that's my mascot now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now I want to get into the hobby beginning.
Yes.
Sweet kicks.
Thanks, bro.
You collected as a kid, I assume.
I did.
And like every hobby collector, there's typically a period where you're not into it.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, did you leave for a little bit and come back?
I did. I took a couple decade break. It was 25-year break. It was about the time that, I started trying to play sports and date girls.
Right.
Spoiler alert, wasn't great at either of it. But then I quit doing cards. And then a few years ago, my kid got into comic strips. So Foxtrot, Calvin and Hobbes, Garfield. And he wanted to buy some books, and I looked it up and $15, $20 each. I was like, I was into this. I have these books. So I went through my parents' mini storage, found my old MJ binder. I was hooked.
And when was that? What year?
It was 2020. Yeah. I know. So the boom, everybody kind of got into it during COVID,
Yeah.
And I was really busy because I was doing a lot of help with people and organizations for marketing stuff, because apparently nobody used the internet before 2020.
Yeah.
And so I was helping them. And then near the end of 2020, that summer, the end of 2020 is when I dug it out and I got super into it and started going.
Did you start your account in 2020? The Tarver's Cards Instagram is only founded from 2020.
I think so.
And it has over 50,000 followers. You're an incredibly recognized figure in this space. Man. And you've been doing this for 4 years, a little less than 4 years, 3 years.
Something like that.
I think that's, I mean, hard to process for sure. Because somebody like me who, you know, when I first started seeing content, assumed that you had been in this for a very long time.
Thanks.
And in the grand scheme of things, it's not that long. You know,
No.
I started making content only about a year and a half after you, you know, and some people talk to me and they think I've been in it a long time, but I haven't. And I bring it up, because I think social media is explosive right now.
Yeah.
And there's an entrepreneurial twist to all of this that I want to speak to you about more deeply, but do you remember those early days of making your videos?
Oh yeah.
What was that?
Oh yeah. It's like, have you ever walked into an empty room and started just like saying words and it feels weird? That's what it felt like posting. Cause you know, nobody watched my stuff. Like I was getting like 8 views on everything. But like whenever I'm into something, whenever I'm enjoying something or I like something or I'm passionate about it, I like making content about it because it's a way for me to process what I'm learning and what I'm doing and what I'm collecting. And I enjoy documenting that process. And, you know, if it gets followers, awesome. And it builds a community of people, you know, that feel like I'm their friend who wants to talk about cards with them after their wife is so sick of talking about cards. You know, I enjoy it. And I like that. And, you know, I've kept doing it. I just kept making a bunch of videos and sometimes they do well, sometimes they don't. And I just keep going.
No, I mean, it's super inspiring to see as somebody who started making videos later than you, but, one of the things that I learned from you and some of the other creators is the authenticity piece resonates with people.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, you're exactly who you'd want you to be when you meet you. That makes sense. So, I don't know, that stood out to me when I was kind of looking back and thinking about how long you've been doing it. Yeah. It's awesome. I talked about the entrepreneurial side to it as well. Sports cards and the Tarver's Cards account. Was that your first social media profile that you created?
Oh, no, I had, for the YouTube, so I had a YouTube channel back in like 2007 or 8, and it was like I called it my main channel, and I pretty much it's gone through phases. I did vlogs for a while. I did, you know, trying to be funny for a while. I did different things and then go on 6-month breaks. And then once I started kicking off the sports cards, I just kind of tied it into that. And it's been good because I've been more consistent with it than I was with the other content. And then I have education channels as well. Instagram is new. I started it whenever I started the stuff. TikTok is new, because I started my education stuff before that. So it's like I got 2 parallel lines. I got the education stuff and then sports cards.
Right. And I relate to that, not, I guess, at the magnitude of what you've achieved, but I started making content before I was Bonkers Cards and Sports Cards. I really interested in finance. My career up to this point has always been related to sales or business. My last 2 years, I was a financial services recruiter in New York.
Sweet.
And I would write about economic trends. I write about the stock market. I write about personal finance, investing, a lot of like career oriented content. And I was doing okay with it, making TikTok videos and things like that. I was writing a blog. I write a blog now about the cards as well.
Yeah, but great.
I wasn't as successful with the Bonker Beat is the name of that brand. You can follow it. I'm trying. It's still not there, but a lot of the lessons that I learned from the Bonker Beat made Bonkers Cards a lot easier.
Dude, that's what it is. It's always building and learning from something. Like I've got so many dead websites that I don't use anymore because I tried something and it didn't work. And then I wasn't passionate about it. And it's like, you have to do something and talk about something you love, even if nobody's listening, or else you're going to quit. Whether it's successful or not, you're going to quit at some point. How many vloggers have we seen like my last vlog? It's because they didn't like it. They were doing it for money or views or clout or whatever. It's like, you got to do stuff that you enjoy and talk about stuff you enjoy, or else you're not going to keep doing it.
Let me ask you, that's really interesting. So I want to ask you about the Tyler Tarver account.
Yeah.
But what's an example of one of those dead websites?
Oh gosh. So there's one, so there's one, it's called, I had datscrappy.com. Okay. And the idea was that you'd never mind. I'm not going to tell you the idea. Okay. So never mind. So I let that one that one didn't come to fruition. Thank goodness. Okay. I didn't post anything. I bought the domain and didn't do it. What's some other? Tyler Trevor Studios. I did wedding videos for like 10 years to make side money. So cause my wife stayed home with our kids, so I need to make more money. So I shot weddings. I shot like 70 or 80 weddings, for people, did photography. What else? I've done commercials. I did the promo videos for a fishing rod company where I was explaining to people about each rod. I don't fish ever. I'm just read the script and try to make it sound natural. Stuff like that, math things. Like I've done so much stuff that I'm just like, that was great. It had its moment and it's not the thing I'm into anymore.
I mean, that's profound to me as well, because you need to try stuff out. To find like what your groove is.
Yep. And you learn from each of those things to apply it to the next thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, you and I might be cut from a similar cloth in that entrepreneurial bug. And some people really enjoy that stability of a career, or, you know, they kind of tell themselves like, this is what I am. I am an accountant, or I am an engineer. And they don't really explore those interests or passions that they have.
Yeah.
And that's not a good or bad thing. I think it's honestly a personality trait, if anything.
Absolutely.
But I want to talk about Tyler Tarver, the educator and the creator in that space as well. What is the passion behind that? And like, tell me about that. Cause you have over 65,000, I think, followers. We just checked before.
On Instagram. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. And I've got a good amount on TikTok and YouTube as well. Yeah. And it's just, you know, I'm an educator. Like that's been my day job since I got out of college. And, you know, I taught high school math. I was a principal. I worked at central office. I was a dean of a college. So it's like, that's what I do is education. And then in that, I've started training teachers, and like, so I do like trainings, and I speak and like, you know, open and do keynote stuff. And so that's kind of been my lane. And I'm really passionate about education and learning everything, you know, even videos or cards or anything. I'm very passionate about learning. But in the education realm with teachers, like, I just see the value in teachers getting better, because that means students get better. And when students get better, literally the world gets better, because teachers teach everyone. And if we can make everyone better, we can make everything better. And so I just really passionate, and I see the value in it. So love working with teachers.
Man, there's a lot I would love to ask you as a follow-up to that as well. One of the observations I've noticed about the hobby is there are a lot of educators. A lot of the dealers I speak to are teachers full time. And, you know, the card hobby is a side business. You know, they have summers off. They can go to the National or go to some of these bigger shows. Why do you think there is, outside of maybe the flexibility with teachers, is there anything else that correlates with education to
That's a good question. I've thought of that before, and I haven't thought of it like maybe like a lot of people get into education because the schedule allows you to spend time with your kids, because your kids go to school for the same amount of time you're working. So it's like you take that job knowing that one of the perks is I get to spend time with my kids. And I think if you're very family oriented, do you have kids?
No.
Okay. So I've got a few kids, and one of the things as a father is, you want to show interest in the things your kids are interested on, because now it's like you guys have that. It's like you're adding layers to things you have in common. Even if it's like, I wouldn't choose to, you know, read Sherlock Holmes, but my oldest son loves Sherlock Holmes. So we go to plays, I watch movies, I listen to books, you know.
That's awesome.
So it's like you get into the stuff they like so that you can have those conversations with them, you know, and it's just like finding those similar interests. And so I think that maybe, you know, seeing your kids, like you're very family oriented, your kids start getting into cards. A lot of kids get into cards. Maybe the parents go along with them. It reminds them of when they were a kid, and then they start kind of jumping into it. That's what I could see.
Yeah. I think I think a lot of times too, educators are interested in history. I mean, me specifically, a lot of the guys I speak to are history teachers.
That's a good point.
They value the historical relevance of some of the stuff we're looking at.
Yeah, I was a history major in college. So
I mean, it's crazy to hear how many different things you've done, because you're very young. You don't seem very old.
Thanks, man.
You're a dean of a college. You were a high school teacher. You were shooting commercials. There's so many things you've done in a short period of time. I mean, it's inspiring.
Thanks, man.
One of the things I have struggled with up to this point, I graduated college in 2018. I graduated from Penn State.
Nice.
So I've been out 5 years, this will be my 6th year in May. And I worked for 3 or 4 companies. And every time I would leave a company, it wasn't necessarily I was doing poorly, but I didn't have that passion. And I was beating myself up over, you know, I'm trying something new. Like my resume looks jumpy. And I'm letting that go. I'm working on letting it go. And you've been willing to just put yourself out there and try all these different things. If there's one person out there that hears that, or hears me speaking about it, know that that does exist. You don't have to do one thing, and you can try to, you know, chase a passion or a project. That's really cool to hear.
Exactly. Thank you.
The education background. So your full-time job, outside of cards is more educating educators
Yes.
at this point? You're not in a school currently teaching.
No, so I work for an organization. I'm director of learning and development. And so I oversee some learning programs there. But yeah, I do most of my stuff is from, digital products, stuff I provide teachers. I have a membership area where I have trainings for teachers, and then I travel and speak and stuff like that.
That's awesome, man.
It's really fun. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, living the real life of an entrepreneur, following his passion. So that kind of covered the background to it. I wanted to talk to you about the hobby and you as a collector.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about the business side to it as well, but there's also we both really like to collect this stuff.
Oh gosh, I'm way more of a collector than I am somebody who sells stuff. Like all my biggest purchases are stuff I don't want to sell. I'll just keep it.
Yeah.
I'm like, Amanda, it's worth this. She's like, are you going to sell it? I go, no.
I should have.
Not unless we have to.
Maybe what we could do as well is another portion of this interview. We can walk the floor.
Yeah.
We can see. I mean, did you bring some of your personal collection with you to the show?
I brought a couple, just like 2 or 3, not a lot.
Well, maybe we can show the audience a little bit of the stuff that you like to personally collect.
I'd love that.
But if you haven't followed him before, who's your big PC guy? Who do you really like?
So I collect the GOATs. Okay.
Yes.
So you got Michael Jordan,
Right.
you got Steph Curry, LeBron James, Jordan Poole, Hank Aaron, Jackie Robinson, Ron Gant, all the greatest players of all time.
Right. Let's jump into the
7 grades.
Jordan Poole quick.
7 grades.
What's with Jordan Poole? Why?
Okay, so JP. All right. So I love the Warriors, and watching Steph got me back into basketball, back into watching basketball. And so I love Steph, and I started collecting. And when I started collecting, I was like, I love the Warriors, but Steph's expensive. I'm spending like a couple dollars at this thing, at this point. And so they had a couple rookies, Eric Pascal, who was in the running. He's in the top 5 for rookie of the year. He played for the Warriors, and then Jordan Poole. And, they were tanking that season, and I can go to shows, and I go to the dollar boxes and get Jordan Poole cards for like a quarter,
Right.
They're super cheap. That was my cheap collect. Had a bunch of his autos and silvers and all this.
Makes sense.
And then a couple years later, he came in the playoffs and started averaging like 30 points a game, popping off pool party, death pool lineup, like insane.
Pool
And
party.
I had 350-ish Jordan Poole rookies at that point, probably like, I don't know, 8 or 10 autos, all this stuff. I sold 7 cards and made like $1,500, paid for my entire collection of Jordan Poole cards plus more. And those have all come down since then. But I have a bunch, and he's still one of my favorite players to collect. And now I talk about him so much, on videos. People know I like him. So kids, when I set up at shows, these kids will go and they'll go table to table, find Jordan Poole cards, and then walk them across the thing, sell them to me for money. They're making like $10-$20 in like 5 minutes.
You're like, I'm going to buy it.
They're just like, I'll buy all your Jordan Pools. They go to me and they just give me if it's a kid, I usually just buy it. I'm like, all right, whatever you say, let's do it. And I'm paying over comps, and it's just fun. I got kids literally hunting JPs. I got to stop. It's going to be.
How big is the pool collection? What are you up to?
I got a considerable amount. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I'm
no
pretty
exact
sure
number.
I probably got even with his drop in his market, I probably got between 10-15 grand worth of Jordan Poole cards.
Wow. I was just curious even from the quantity.
Oh, quantity? I've probably got 400 to 500.
400 to 500.
Yeah, probably closer to 5.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah,
So,
it's too much.
now my channel is mostly a vintage.
Oh, I
baseball
love vintage
audience.
baseball.
So, most of my guys who are watching this, love basically anybody who played before 1980.
Yep.
My PC is mostly Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Jackie Robinson.
Okay, I don't collect Willie, but I collect the other 2. So Jackie and Hank. I just bought an autographed Hank Aaron baseball bat.
Really?
Yeah, I was really excited to get
Here
it.
today?
No. I bought it a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
cool. Is it like a replica or game bat?
So I don't know. It's Hank Aaron. It's got his name on it and everything. I'm not sure if it's game used. But yeah, it's a Hank Aaron bat. It looks legit, and it's got his autograph, and it's JSA certified. So
All right. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty
You
cool.
guys see a Hank Aaron signed bat pop up in one of my videos, you'll know where I got it from. I'm going to make him an offer.
Let's go. I'm going to turn it down. No, I love it.
You told me last that you were looking for a Jackie Robinson rookie card.
Yep, got it.
The 48 Leaf.
Yeah. Did you know I got it? Have you seen the video?
I have seen the video. Talk to me about that. What was that process?
It was a little stressful. So it's the most expensive card I've ever purchased online.
Yeah.
And I bought it through eBay bids. I went to bed, and the Jackie rookies go what, $3 or $4 grand usually, close to $4.
Yeah.
Raw goes like 3,500, right?
Yeah.
But you have is it fake? You have that playing in.
Sure.
And so I was on eBay one night, and the bids were up to like, I don't know, $2,800. And I was like, whatever. I threw in I think I said like $2,950.
Yeah.
Woke up the next morning, I'm thinking, I didn't win. I won.
You won.
You know, after tax and all that, it was like 3,200, I think, tax and all that, whatever, no shipping, but whatever.
Right.
Get it for 32. And I'm thinking, in the back of my mind, I'm like, eBay authenticity. Like they'll get it. They're like, it's authentic or not because it was raw. I get it in my mailbox. It did not go to eBay authentication. It came straight to me. Dude had it, no top loader. Had a top loader, no penny sleeve. And I'm like, open it up. I'm like, where's the authenticity? So literally I got it at the PO box, sat in my truck, made a video opening it, went on the SGC app, did the 1 to 2 day turnaround, $120, I think. Walked back in, mailed it, didn't even leave. Mailed it, got it back like 3 or 4 days later. SGC won.
Bang.
Yeah, SGC won.
What a roller coaster of emotion.
It was crazy. Now it's like $4 to $5 grand.
Yeah, well, first of all, congrats. It's great.
I was really excited.
Second of all, there's guys out there that will ship a card like that, of that value. It's
like, what? Yeah.
Come on. Like, figure out the hobby etiquette of shipping a card. At least, cut up a box of wheat thins and wrap it in some card.
Yeah. Put a napkin around it, okay?
Yeah, that's incredible. I have never owned a 48 leaf Jackie. I have never even had it on my show. It's a card that I do see myself trying to eventually get into.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to be one that you keep forever, you think? Or will you
upgrade probably
over time?
Unless I have to sell it to like fund a housing project that we're doing or something, right. You know? That's
pretty cool, man. I remember the first time I bought a card on eBay for that kind of money. It was my first Hank Aaron rookie card. It was,
what'd you get?
It was an SGC 1 or an SGC 1.5.
Okay. And
I remember like sweating. I was so nervous of spending that. It was probably almost $2,000, probably $1,800 to $2,000. By far the biggest personal purchase I ever made.
Yeah.
That thrill is exciting.
It is.
Those that buy their first card.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And it gets there. And so that's a really cool, background to it. I brought, some of the stuff I brought today, I'm trying to think of some of the cards that I have. I have Burke Ross stuff. I really like signed cards. We're gonna go see some of his stuff later in the interview. But this card, for example, I really like that. Burke
Ross is so sick.
So that's a 1952 Burke Ross Maze in a 5. High grade card. This was a regional set printed in the New York metro area. So it's a really low population count card. So cool. I also just bought today a Ted Williams from the same set.
So you bought this today?
I bought the Ted Williams today. Yeah.
That is dope. Are you trying to collect this set?
I know that it's rare. I know it's low pop. I know collectors are interested in it. So sometimes I buy stuff when I think the number's right. Yeah. I can either keep it or sell it.
Yep.
The stuff I really try to collect is signed Hank Aaron cards. I'm pretty specific. I want playing years Hank Aaron stuff.
Okay.
Or 1954 Topps is like my favorite set.
That's a great set. I love it. I know. I've seen your collection. It's incredible.
I want to continuously upgrade it like over time.
That's dope.
And SGC slabs. I'm a big SGC guy. So if SGC, if you're watching, we're looking for a sponsor.
SGC is dope. I love SGC. They're by far my favorite grading company.
I agree.
It's so good.
Yeah. So I guess a couple more questions and then we can walk the floor. And I appreciate again. Thank you so much for all the time.
Yeah. I'll just hope my kid didn't sell my cards too low. That's awesome.
Yeah. The content evolution you've had since 2020 to now, I want to ask you, what is the biggest thing you've seen change about the hobby since you've been back in?
Like the hobby as a whole?
Yeah. Since 2020.
I think people are getting ripped off less, which I like. Because, when I got into it, everything was expensive. Actually, I'll tell you the biggest thing. You can actually buy cards at the store. That's the biggest change. Cause I remember for 2 years, I did not find one pack of basketball cards and I went to probably 100 plus Walmarts, Targets, all of it. Couldn't find it anywhere. So the fact that you can just find cards is great. And then also I think that like all of us that jumped in the past few years, I feel like we're getting better at it and we're not getting, cause there's some people that have been in for a while and they're a little pushy and, you don't want to be uncomfortable or be rude. And, I just think we're all getting a little better at it. And I think it's starting to level everything out.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah. I mean, when I dipped my toe back into the hobby, it was really 21. It was after this big boom. I didn't see what you're talking about. But what it sounds like is that a lot of the hysteria has moved away.
Yep.
And, the real ones kind of stayed.
Stuck around.
like any sort of, stock chart or whatever, you see these spikes and you see it come down, but that return period, like we set a new foundation of what the base is of collectors.
Steadier. Yes, absolutely.
So that's awesome to hear, man. I mean, from a content perspective, have you seen anything change as well?
Like it's the same thing you just said. Like a lot of those guys that were just jumping in because there was no content, they were trying to fill that void and make money. A lot of those dudes have dropped off. A lot of them that were just like, cause you get content and it's fine. And people, they'll just want to flip, buy and flip. And they're just like, oh, look at this car, that's fine. And there's a place for that, I think. But I think you've seen a lot of those guys drop off because they're not able to flip and make money every Tuesday. Like it used to be like making money a hand over foot. Now it's like a little harder.
They might not have been as passionate about it.
Exactly.
Like you talked about, and one of the things I've been learning through highly successful people is you have to be consistent, and to be consistent, you need to be passionate. Right?
Absolutely.
Consistency breeds success.
Correct. Same with social media.
Every day. Yeah. Social media, you have to be there every day.
Yeah.
So in order to be there every day, you have to really, really freaking like it.
You have to want to talk about it.
Yeah. So that's cool to see from a content evolution. When you talked to me right before we turned the camera on, I mean, this being in a position where you're interviewing Derek Jeter.
Yeah, that was cool.
He's like a childhood idol of mine. What was like that? You met him at the National.
I mean, he's no Ron Gant, but he was a really nice guy. I really liked him. He's super chill. Like he's super chill. We got to have dinner. Like there's a big group of us that got to go to a dinner.
You had dinner with him.
Yeah. Well, he bounced table to table because there was like 7 or 8 tables. But yeah, he hung out on a table for a while. We all got to eat. And Arena Club, his grading company, they're the one grading and like, vaulting and all that. They hosted a bunch of us. And then, the next day I get to interview him, and that was a lot of fun, and it was great. It was a great experience. Super cool guy, super nice, super chill.
Yeah.
Very, very kind.
I mean, if I'm in that situation, I'm shaking. I'd be so nervous.
Well, I was sweating, but the only reason I was sweating is because my kid left my backpack in the bathroom at the other side of the National. So I'm like, I'm about to miss an interview with him, but also all my stuff's going to get stolen. So we run across the largest warehouse I've ever been to, like 4 warehouses running. And it was already danky and hot. I mean, like the baseball mitt section of like those gross dudes that don't sell anything, but they show up every year. Yeah. And I'm like funneling through their fog, and I like go in, and we found the backpack, and then I book it all the way upstairs. Then I get there, and I'm sitting across from Derek Jeter interviewing him, and he's sitting there right where you are, and I'm sitting here, and I'm talking to him, and I can feel sweat beads dripping down my face, like, and he's like, look, I can see his eyes just kind of looking at me, and I'm just like, I'm like, okay, so what do you think about, when did you start collecting, Derek? What do you think if you'd have been drafted to the Astros? That's what I'm doing. That's sweat. I was the worst. And here's the thing. This is what bothers me the most. Okay. I didn't like the Yankees growing up because I liked the Braves.
Okay.
I have so it was, a Negro League baseball team, the Brooklyn Eagles, but it said they have the similar New York thing. They're from like the 30s and 40s. And I have that hat. It's the only kind of New York thing I own. I had that in my backpack, and I didn't even put it on. I forgot that I had it. I could have just popped the hat on, catches a sweat. I'm good to go.
Yeah, what of it, man? Well,
and I didn't do it, man.
Well, part of it is that you're, the challenge of operating as a father, a kid living your thing. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot happening in that moment. I'm like, what questions am I going to ask?
The fact that you were able to still, conduct an interview with the captain in that experience is pretty cool. So,
and he did sign, so I had 3 national tickets. This is his first national he's ever been to. 3 national tickets, and he signed 3 of them.
He signed for you.
He signed 3 of them and numbered them all 1 to 3. It says, first national.
That's really cool.
We did a giveaway, and I gave 1 of them away. I still got 2.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It's cool.
Well,
whatever.
I mean, I guess, again, we're going to wrap up here. We're at the Culture Collision show here in Atlanta, Georgia. I want to ask you in terms of what are you on the hunt for this weekend? Anything specifically you're
So you know what? There's a few. I'm working on a few sets. So if I can find those, great. My main thing is I'm trying to sell a little bit because there's a couple things I did want to buy back home, and I got to pay those dudes for that. I'm working on like the EX credentials. I just started that. I'm trying to get that's from 96 Kobe rookie year. Those white borders. This basketball. Trying to get all those. They're numbered at $4.99. I'm trying to get 1 autograph card of everybody in the top 75 for NBA.
Wow. That's a great project.
Yeah, it's been fun. I just started that one about a month or 2 ago. I've been working on trying to get 1 Hank from every year he played.
Nice.
So working on that. And then Jackie won from every year he played. So,
nice.
you know, you never know until they come to the table, and then some just look dope looking cards. I'll buy them. Loved MJ, Jordan Poole, you know, the GOATs.
That's cool. I feel like one of the things that's awesome about this hobby is there's so many different ways you can collect. Yeah. So many different projects you can take on. I love that top 75 NBA idea. Yeah. That's really cool.
This guy bought my first sale of the show. This guy came up at a Jerry Rice 86 Topps rookie card, and he bought it. And I was like, oh, sweet. I was like, I got the whole set. He's like, well, actually, I'm working on, he picked his top 20 favorite cards when he's a kid, and he's going to collect 100 of each of those cards. Yeah. And that's one of them. He's got like 50 something Jerry Rice rookie cards, and he's going to try to get 100. That's a really cool idea for me to collect.
Yeah. I love that. Like you choose how you want to do the hobby.
Exactly.
And, there's a lot of creative, freedom in that, but there's also like, you know, whether it's a different budget or a different player or a market, there's something for everyone. Yep. And that's what's really cool.
Absolutely.
I think, you know, I have a big vintage set break I'm going to be doing in the next month or two. So I'm looking for some key cards on that.
Sweet. What year? Can you say? Is it a secret? It's a surprise.
It's a big surprise.
Subscribe below so that you can see the next one.
I'll say this set is earlier than any of my other set breaks. It would be the oldest set break that I ever tried to put together.
Okay, 36 Gaudy.
Yeah, so we might be playing in that realm.
Okay.
We might be playing in that realm.
So a guy that lives near me, he has the largest collection of autographed Gaudy cards in the world.
The 33 Gaudy collector?
33. I said 36. Yeah, 33 Gaudy. Yeah.
His Instagram page.
Yeah,
I've seen
he sets up his shows in my town. He's a great dude. Super kind. We've done a ton of trades. And he always wins the trades. If you ever trade with him, he's going to win.
The 33 Gaudy collector. Yep. Yeah, shout out that guy if he's watching.
He's super cool.
He has a really good collection.
Yeah, he's great.
And where are you based out of?
I'm next to Little Rock in Arkansas.
In Arkansas.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, I'm in a totally different region of the country. I'm in northern New Jersey. So
oh yeah, I was in New Jersey yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
For an education.
Atlantic City. Yeah, I was speaking at an education conference.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was in Atlantic City.
Huh. I'm a big fan of Atlantic City. I do like to gamble. I'm a big blackjack guy.
Yeah, it's good. I didn't do any. So
there you go.
Just because I would have lost.
You use the spending money here.
I gamble at these tables. That's right.
All right, Tyler. Well, this will wrap up our interview. I think we'll take a walk inside, maybe look at a few more tables. I want to see some of the stuff you brought. But
love it.
Again, this is Tyler Tarver, Tarver's Cards. You can follow him on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. He's huge.
Thanks, man.
And yeah, I mean, thanks for spreading positivity in the hobby.
Appreciate it.
And being a role model for content creators like me that are trying to figure it out.
Hey, I look up to you too. I love watching your stuff. You're one of my favorite creators. Like, it's awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Bro.
And let's get in there. See what we
Let's do it.
Thanks, guys.